Hello and welcome to the Tiger Media Sports Podcast. My name is Mayan Paz, and with me today are Caden Sanders and Garrett Welbock. We have two special guests today, football players that just finished their last game of the season, Josh Shaw and John Johnson. Thank you for coming today.
You bet. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
And so we'll start with some introductions. I think we'll go one by one first. Tell us, first of all, your position, you're in school, major, and how did you get to Fort Hayes?
Yeah, so I guess I'm Josh Shaw. I'm a senior left guard here. I guess primary left guard. This year I kind of played across the entire O-line. But yeah, it's kind of crazy how I ended up here. I feel like, going into senior year, I really wasn't getting a whole lot of recruiting interest. And then kind of late into the picture, about mid-December, right before Christmas, the old QB coach, Coach Zoda, actually hit me up on Twitter and started recruiting me there, and then came down for a visit, got to know the place, and I kind of fell in love with it.
And I'm John Johnson, and I wasn't getting recruited a lot at high school, and the coaching staff here, they reached out to me, and it felt like home. But I also play linebacker here at 4A, so yeah.
And so just to, I talked to Coach Brown, I think, after the conclusion of last year, and we spoke for about 40 minutes. He told me a lot about the culture he tries to implement here and the things he's looking for in recruits. And he talked about, making sure that people understand that this team is committed to winning and improving all the time, and that people have faith in each other and work together hard on and off the field. When you guys came here first as recruits in your visits, did you feel that culture that Coach Brown was talking about? Was how much of that was something that influenced you to come here?
I guess for me, I definitely felt that kind of from the first team meeting with Coach Brown on the visit. He shared with us, kind of the championship blueprint and kind of the winning culture that he had established, obviously with them winning the conference back in 2017 and 2018. And I got a feeling that if you were to commit here, like, he wanted people who are willing to work hard, be committed to the team above themselves, and, do what it takes, put in the hard work to win.
Oh, yeah, just piggybacking off what Josh said, I mean, Brown, he laid out that blueprint for us. When I got here, I've been here for a while, and, just as long as you're a hard worker and, dedicated to it, winning will come.
Yeah, so a question I have for you guys is that a lot of your guys' first year playing would have been the 2022 season, which you guys finished 3-8. What kind of changed in your guys' preparation from the next season to going on? I mean, there's 3 straight winning seasons after a tough 3-8 year.
I'd probably just say, I don't know how to. I mean, I think it was more player-led. We had some guys, including myself, step into that role and kind of, change the culture to what it was that year. I mean, it was pretty bad that year. And, we, had a group of guys, and, we changed that culture around, and, we're continuing to, progress on that. So.
And then I guess for me, coming in that year was actually my true freshman year. So I had never been in, with the program before anything. So, like, it was all kind of new to me, and I really didn't know what to expect from college football. But I guess the biggest thing that I noticed was the change kind of in leadership with going into the season at the beginning, like fall camp year, of who the leaders were then to who the guys and leaders were that came back the following year, and just kind of how the difference in how they led, and especially led by example, just kind of changing how we worked, holding people more accountable, raising the standard. I guess that's kind of the thing I remember most changing, was just kind of how the leadership, it was less on the coaches and more on the players just wanting to, be successful and not have a repeat 3-8 season.
Well, we look on how the team progressed throughout your time here, and they moved from that negative record. They improved every year until last year was kind of like the high point year, with Shane Watts going crazy in the last few games. and you guys kind of progressed with that. And then those seniors have left last year, and you're kind of, you're still here, and you're trying to be even better this year. And you start the season, yes, with the loss to Angelo State, but then with that big win, on the road against CSU Pueblo. And what kind of changed throughout the season? What was the thing? What determined the course of the season? Because you guys had some really influential up and downs throughout the season.
I think we did, like, coming to start the season, our expectations were high. Especially after the way last year ended, and we had a good core guys coming back, and so it was our mindsets going into the season was this championship season. Come back, win the conference. Then kind of as we progressed throughout the season, we had some key injuries in certain spots, and new guys needed to step up into roles that maybe they weren't used to, and so I think just the combination of that, having the young guys step up, and also just few plays here and there, just kind of mental mistakes that we hadn't made in the past, that kind of led to those few big plays happening, game-changing plays, to where we're a few plays away from being 8-3 this year instead of 6-5, I guess.
I mean, yeah, we're in the MIAA, so any Saturday anybody can win. And like Josh said, I mean, there's probably, one or two plays in a couple games that if they would have went our way, we probably would have came out on top. But, I mean, like you said, we had, some key injuries in certain spots, and, a lot of new faces this year step up in that role, and, it can be challenging. And so, yeah.
You guys were both Elite 100, prospects in Division II coming into the season. What was it like to kind of just, take in this last season at Fort Hays State?
It was awesome, I guess, like, especially, knowing that it's kind of the last ride, and so, it's your last fall camp, your last off season, so you enjoy it more, you try to take it in more, but at the same time, it pushed, especially me, I guess, I can't speak for other people, but it pushed me to, like, make sure that this is the best season we've had, and keep trying to improve, because that's kind of what we've done every year that I've been here, I guess, is improve and got better each and every year. So kind of coming to the season, that was kind of the goal. All off season was improve, get better. We can't take a step back.
Yeah, I mean, it was bittersweet. Knowing that was my last college game this Saturday. I just took it all in. Throughout even fall camp, like, I knew that this was, my last ride, like Josh said, and, I just wanted to make sure everybody was, getting better, including myself. I still had things to improve. It was bittersweet. I mean, yeah.
For Josh, how hard was it for you to move around in the offensive line? With, you said, the key injuries, and I mean, the O-line was probably the most affected by it. I mean, 2 starters going out and a lot of guys stepping up. Had you played other offensive line positions, or were you mostly guard, like, through high school and all that?
In high school, I kind of played all over, I guess. I came from a small high school, so I was the biggest kid. And so in high school, I moved around kind of to wherever we were then to run the ball. I'd be over there. So it wasn't just totally new for me, but definitely in college here, the past 3 years, I've been focused primarily on guard. And so, there was a couple challenges when moving, but I feel like at this point in my career, I've got enough reps to where it really wasn't too different. And I kind of understood, and there's not really that big of changes. I knew what I needed to do just by listening to, Coach Bolden talking to the other positions, like the tackles. Just kind of keeping in mind that, like, I might have to, because this last year, actually, I was kind of the emergency tackle for a few games, so I was kind of prepared mentally for that. And then this year, when unfortunately we had guys get hurt, I had to go out there. I guess I was more mentally prepared to go in, and it wasn't too big of a change, I guess.
So, John, looking at your numbers over the years and how many tackles you've had each season, this year you have had significantly more tackles than every other season in the past. And obviously, you're the lead linebacker, coming in as a senior and one of the stars of the team. But what is the main change that you've made maybe over the summer, preparing for the season that caused that huge number? Because look at the increase. I mean, last year, 24, 37 solo tackles, this year 66. So almost doubling your tackles.
Yeah, I mean, during the offseason, I worked on, open field tackling. I mean, that's probably one of the hardest things to do, as a defender is, making plays in the open field. And like I said, I mean, this is my last ride, so I was headhunting, every play. So, I mean, that's probably the biggest jump I'd say, offseason. I was just working on, my open field tackling, because I can always improve, you know what I mean? So yeah.
John, sorry. You get to that 100 tackle mark. Haven't seen that since 2019, and really one of the best tacklers in recent memory for this program. What does it mean for you? Because, coming from Dodge, you played on FHSU's, stadium in high school a couple times. I mean, it must feel like a fever dream or very special to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely is special, being able to come, play here in college. I played here in high school, a couple times. I'm glad, I could, leave my mark, you know what I'm saying, at the, Fort Hayes, at Lewis Field. So, I'd probably say I'm proud of myself for that. It does feel like a fever dream, but yeah.
So, like you said, both you guys being seniors here, what's next for you guys? Are you going to try and pursue football after, this season ending? Like what's next?
I guess for me, it's probably the ride's probably over, but kind of pending the 5th-year rule. Since I played as a true freshman, if they pass that rule, I would get one more, and so if that did pass, that'd be something I would heavily consider. Because I do love the sport. I love like the bonds you create with the guys, the family aspect. I guess all the aspects of the game I really enjoy. But as of right now, I don't think I'm going to try to pursue any other, arena football or CFL as Shane and other guys in the past have done. So, probably try to enjoy Christmas break and then really try to find a job and move on.
Yeah, so, I'm going to go down over winter break and train and, get ready for these pro days coming up in the spring. And, hopefully I can, continue playing the game I love. If not, I always got a plan B, and I want to teach and coach. So, I'll eventually, at some point the game will come to an end. So, I want to give back to the game. So, yeah, I'll end up being a teacher and a coach somewhere. So.
And Josh, just moving back to how the season went, you guys relied heavily on running, and I spoke to Curtis Douglas and Joshua Clark throughout the season, mainly after the games. And every time they have had a good game, obviously they give you guys the credit in the O-line. And you have, you look at the stats, you have nothing listed, but you were mostly responsible. But what was the difference for you as an O-line? Moving from Shane Watts, who was a great running back, and then having two main running backs this year.
Last year we kind of knew what we were going to get with Shane. He was our workhorse every down back. This year I feel like we kind of had a two-man punch. Kurt and whoever else was running it, whether it was Josh or TD or Kian, whoever got in. It was kind of we got a bruiser and then we got like a little scat back. But it doesn't really matter who we had running back there. We always knew as an O-line that the success that they have, it really depends on us. So we knew no matter who we had back there that, we just try to do the best that we could to, make holes for them and make their life easier. Because we knew they were going to run hard and make guys miss. So, if we did our jobs and just set them up with one guy to miss, there's usually good results.
Josh, when I talked to you in the preseason or Hell Week, whichever one you want to call it, you had your brother commit here, and you talk about this family aspect. What was it like to, practice and kind of show your brother the ropes? And I would say, play, with your brother again, but What was it like for you just to kind of have him here your final year?
No, it was awesome. I think back to high school, like getting the 1 year to play with him. It was one of the most fun times I had, and so having him here again was awesome. Especially with having him come here to a program and a football team that I love. I think is really good. It's one of the best places you can go. But actually, in high school, I never was able to go up against him because we'd always be playing on the same side of the ball, and so this is kind of the first year that I was able to go against him every day with him being a scout team linebacker, and so it was fun. But hopefully showed him how to work, how to lead by example, do the right things. I hope from that what he's taken from just kind of watching my career is that if you work hard and you put all that you have into it, like you'll get rewarded in some shape or form. But it was fun, sharing my last year of football with him here, seeing him every day at practice, being there on game days. It was just awesome.
So I saw a video. It was before senior day. A lot of you guys got asked what was your favorite memory at Fort Hays, and a lot of people responded with the win at Emporia State last year in the rain. Well, you guys get the win on Saturday at Emporia State again. How awesome was that?
I mean, it was awesome, because I know a lot of players on that Emporia team, and they blamed it on the rain. That's why we got the win, So go out there on a nice Saturday and win. I mean, come on now. I mean, it was great. So
Yeah, not everyone can say they won their last football game ever, So I think just being able to go down there and it being our last game of the season was just kind of it was a great way to end the season and the career for these seniors. I guess we've kind of been a roller coaster ride as we've been here, and so just it made us feel good, I guess, getting that win, excitement, and especially after what happened last year with the game, going back down there again and beating them, it was good.
That's something that Coach Brown said in the press conference before the Emporia game. He was saying that he always remembers his last game in his high school career and in his college career, so that last game stays. And he was hoping so much that you guys can get the win. So I mean, yeah, I think it's gonna be a memory maybe for you for your entire lives. I mean, you have a 4-year career behind you, but then you finish with a win, so that's gotta be a positive way to finish the season.
yeah, for sure.
Especially with how the season kind of ended up with the record 5-5. We could either end up with a winning season or a losing season. Just going out on the wind, it's good for the seniors, but also sets up momentum for next year and what we can do.
I don't know if you guys have really stayed in tune, with the bracket and the playoffs and all that. An interesting couple matchups in this region that the college realm is really watching. But if you look at it, you got Shadron taking on Pitt, and then you got Northwest going down to Harding. That is not no 8 seed, but just because of geographic problems, they're sending Northwest down to Harding.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always going to root for, the MIAA team. I hope they can go down there and, handle business. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of is odd, but yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of when I first saw the brackets, I was like, that was 1 versus 8 matchup shouldn't be a 1 versus 8. With how good Northwest has been all year. But yeah, when it comes time to the playoff and postseason, I'm the biggest MIAA fan there is because I know just how tough this conference is, and so we send our top teams there. We want them to show and represent the conference well, and I think they will.
I feel like you guys keep saying how tough the MIAA is, which is true. I mean, it's probably like the SEC of Division II for football. I mean, you guys probably had one of the tougher schedules in all of Division II, even in your non-con playing 2 nationally ranked teams. Like, I know 6-5 wasn't what you guys wanted, but do you guys take pride in even how tough of a schedule it was to still have that winning season?
I mean, yeah, you always got to be thankful for a winning season. Like you said, this conference is tough. And like you said, we played 2 top 20 teams, non-conference games. And, one of those we won, and it was a top 5 team. So, I mean, I would say I'm proud of this team, for pulling through and being able to get that winning season.
Every year it's a dogfight in this conference. any given Saturday, a team can go out there and have a good game, and it's tough. There's no weeks off. So I guess finishing with a winning record and being towards the top of the conference is always something to be proud of. You can't be mad about that.
So, you guys both have another full semester at school, right? I mean, just as students, and you'll be here at Fortes. Are you even going to be involved with how the team prepares? Even if you don't play next season, are you going to still be there? Maybe try to speak to the freshmen, influence them, talk to the players that your friends, from the last 4 years, and maybe try to help them get better towards next season.
I mean, we had our last like team meeting as like a senior group yesterday, and I told all the guys in there, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me if you have questions or anything. Like I'm here for you. We built the brotherhood, and that's for life. So, I'm gonna, if they need anything or need advice, they can always message me. So.
Yeah, like John said, I'll be there for them if they have any questions or need advice on anything. But, I'll probably just enjoy my last semester here, having no football and kind of really experience college. But, I guess I won't be involved in any day-to-day, like, at practice or anything, just seeing how it's going. It's kind of their time to, have the new leaders step up and, lead this team and have the guys step into roles that they haven't had in the past.
JJ, I've seen you really work with Myers, another kid from just Western Kansas, Gavin, the Gavins.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like to have some of those guys, Shadron Blanca, St. Francis, Western Kansas kids really step up this season with you?
It mean a lot. I mean, it all happened in the off season. We built that connection. Just throughout the season, it got better and better, and we learned to play with each other. You know what I mean? So, if one was thinking this thing, I'm thinking like we same page. So, it was good. And knowing that they're from Southwest Kansas, is always a great thing. Because the Southwest Kansas kids don't get a lot of love or exposure, but I think we're kind of proving them wrong. So.
John Johnson and Josh Shaw, thank you so much for coming here. It was really fun talking to you. I think that you guys have, led the program for 4 years. You guys are familiar faces around the school and be missed in the team for sure. I'm sure you'll both do great things. And thanks for coming by. This has been it for this week's interview for Tiger Media Network podcast. And next week, we'll take a break with fall break over Thanksgiving, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with the next episode of the Tiger Media Network Sports Podcast.